Hey, shalom, shalom, everyone. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, how's everybody's week?
All is well, sir. What about you?
Yeah, all is well, all praises. Everything was smooth.
Nice.
Um, it went pretty fast. I'll tell you that. I feel like each week is faster and faster. So I
Yeah,
definitely know time.
the days are definitely shorter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely shorter.
Awesome, awesome. So I know some of you guys have already gone through Dream Life Africa. How's that going? Is it giving you more clarity? Has anything changed? Or are you like, yes, I'm ready to go. I know exactly what I'm about to do.
Dr. Kiana, you can go first.
Okay, so thank you. It's been helpful for me. I know that um I love the way you present different questions to get us to consider different aspects of the move. And so I would say that it's been helpful and really solidifying the initial plan I have in place, but with some tweaking. I am making some adjustments based upon what I've been learning. So I would say it's definitely helping for sure.
Oh, yes, absolutely. That's awesome.
Yes.
Perfect. All right, what about you, James?
Yeah, definitely helping. I have taken a 180 um,
Mhm.
because
Okay.
I looked and I saw the complexities as far as entering into Kenya. And then I saw South Africa was like, oh, not so much. And then
Yeah.
I started doing a little research, and then I have a professional background in golf for 16 years as a professional. They are
Okay.
a golfing hub, so
Okay.
that's like a built-in mini tours, professional tours that I could plug into and make revenue that way. Um, just
Yes.
just in case I
Okay.
needed to. But the main focus is when you showed the different types of businesses that we could plug into. I saw the hospitals. I saw the different ones that you mentioned, but hospitals stood out to me because of the vision that I have. I can plug in agriculture and everything that I want to do into the plans that you mapped out for us, and it just made sense. So yeah, I've done a lot of changing, I've done a lot of researching, and I've even started building my team of advisors because they love the plan. They're coming on board, so we're excited and ready to go.
Wow, congrats. That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
good to hear.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
that's definitely good to hear.
That's awesome. Yeah, it only makes
Excited.
sense. South Africa, that was a huge one on our list just
yeah,
because as an American, you can go there visa free for 3 to 6 months.
yeah,
Mm.
Hmm.
So that gives
yeah,
you a lot of leverage right there.
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay, okay, we're glad to hear that. Awesome. So how the rest of our session will go, we'll go ahead and finish up our slide presentation, and then we will go ahead and do a Q&A, talk about your plans, wrap up any lingering questions you may have as we're going through the presentations and as you went through Dream Life Africa. How's that sound?
Yeah, sounds good.
Sounds good.
Awesome, awesome. So is this where we left off last?
Yep.
Okay.
So this is the Source Your Entry Point Roadmap. Now, this is a compilation list that we created based on what we've seen working for the diaspora, be it ourselves or other people. For example, this first question, do you have ancestry in a country that gives citizenship? There are some countries in West Africa that give citizenship. This doesn't mean that you would want to live there, but it is something to think about if you want to have that second African passport, because a lot of times if you're a part of like the West African community, the East African community, or the Southern Africa region, you will be able to invest at a lower rate than a regular foreigner would. Usually it's about 50% lower.
Mhm.
So a few countries are Ghana, Sierra Leone, and then Benin just announced that they are also going to be doing citizenship soon in the near future.
Yeah. And also think about dual citizenship also. Which country has dual citizenship and which country's passport is very powerful too.
Right,
Because
right.
certain passports here in Africa or certain countries' passports is not that powerful.
Like Nigeria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nigeria is very powerful.
No, their passport is not
It's not
powerful.
powerful.
No. With
So
the
Africa,
Nigerian passport, you have trouble if you're going into different countries.
like
They'll
different
like
regions.
hold you up. Yeah, they'll hold you up.
Yeah.
That's why like what's that YouTuber's name? I think it's Teo Anna. He always talks about how hard it is for him to travel on his Nigerian passport. But South Africa, on the other hand, they have a great passport.
Yeah. So I know
Awesome.
Mauritius is very powerful too.
Yeah, Mauritius is very powerful too. They're like South Africa, Mauritius, I think Kenya, Ghana, those like the top 3 to 4 passports in Africa.
Yeah.
Nice.
Perfect. And then your talent cultivation and work history. I think you guys have this pretty much covered. But again, when it comes to high value skills, Africa values teachers, information technology, sales, marketing, freelancing, and customer service. Customer service is a bigger one than people would realize coming from America. And when you guys hit the ground here in Africa, you're going to understand this better. But a good example would be like, if you're going to a restaurant, you see something on the menu and like you're talking to the waitress, but she's not cheerful, she's not smiling. There isn't just that customer service feel that we're used to in America. And so that is an area where you can come in and consult and teach different courses and programs or provide them to university students.
What about on the business end? Because part of what we do is we help businesses integrate AI. Let's say they have a staff that's overburdened and they can't handle all the calls. We would come in, create processes and systems to where we can set it up. Their sales, they can pay. Our automation to help pay bills, send them information, answer complex questions. So basically we could replicate their top salesperson and then lower their bottom line so it could free up and any bottlenecks that they would have in their company. Is there any potential openings in South Africa for those type businesses?
Oh, absolutely. In South Africa, for sure. It would work best in South Africa because they have that bit of modernization, also that entrepreneurship spirit, and you don't have to worry about dealing with too many different languages. Although they have 13 different main languages, most people still speak English, especially in the entrepreneurship realm, versus if you were to go somewhere like Tanzania or somewhere like Cote d'Ivoire, where they speak French or they speak Swahili. Language alone can be a huge barrier to business. So you're going to have a lot of success in South Africa. And we actually have colleagues who have found success in South Africa long term.
Awesome, because we can make the agent speak any language, so that's not an issue.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's good to know. You could probably branch out and do it in other regions then too.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
What you just explained, that's where Africa is headed. So I believe that would be a good thing to do because that's really where Africa is headed.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Absolutely. For sure. And then tax rebates on logistics, agricultural economies, and consultancy services. So you guys said you've been researching. I don't know if you got into this type of research, but you do want to look at the different tax rebates, especially if you're going to be going into technology or agriculture. They have different rebates depending on the country. For you guys, South Africa, you're going to look and see what type of rebates they have, what type of waivers they have. We actually have an acquaintance who went to South Africa from Tanzania, moved there. She's been there for years. She was actually able to get a waiver for the type of business that she incorporated there, a consultancy. And so the waiver uses her from having to actually apply for the business in America. She got to stay in South Africa and do the full paperwork. So you definitely want to go to those investment websites, ask around, see what kind of rebates are available. Even I'm sure South Africa has this as well. All the African countries have it on some level, some type of economic development board or some type of South African investment bank that can tell you where their rebates are and where some of the tax savings are going to be.
And they have information on grants as well?
You usually have to look at a separate website. What I would do, I would just type in 2024, 2025 agriculture grants in Africa, and then a list will.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely. And then you want to look at offshore staffing solutions to employ African people and contract with corporate businesses in America and across the globe. I think if people had this information, this right here, this is very special because since 2020, a lot of Black people in America have been getting into government contracting and doing like middleman business opportunities. And then they have to just find someone to actually fulfill the contract. Depending on what the contract is, what relationships you have, you can actually fulfill the contract with some of our people here in Africa if you create some kind of telecommunications agency, or if you work with these different creatives and students on the ground.
Yeah, that is huge.
Yeah.
It is huge. Absolutely. And then retirement passive income hotspots give you residency and real estate investment. So once you guys are on the ground, let's say, 3 to 5 years passes by, you have your businesses running, you're familiar with South Africa, you're traveling around doing different things, then you're going to start to think towards retirement and what kind of opportunities you can have with multiple residencies, because it's good to diversify, especially in these political and economical climates we're in, so you can go to different areas and have different safe havens. And so Kenya, like we spoke about, has the K-12 visa, K-2 visa. Mauritius, Ghana has a 5-year visa. Botswana has a 5-year visa. Namibia has a 5-year visa, especially for retirement age. Once you reach those ages, once you're having that 10-year to 20-year long-term plan and saying, okay, where can I possibly retire on the continent if I don't want to stay in this country forever?
Yeah. I would say that our last conversation really helped me get more clarity on this, because hearing you speak about Mauritius definitely piqued my interest. So I did some additional research, and I'm almost positive like I want that to be my long-term plan. Like once I am able to kind of establish myself and afford to get a nice place there, because I see that the
Yes.
prices are a bit high, especially for a beachfront, which is ideally what I would want. And so
Yes.
the goal would be to spend, the next couple of years or so or however long y'all would, maybe it'd be sooner, but to eventually be able to invest in a property there for long-term usage.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. I mean, South Africa, Mauritius, Seychelles, Cabo Verde, Zanzibar, these are like hot spots for real estate right now. Even Ghana. Ghana is huge for real estate as well on the west coast side of Africa. So yeah, those and those permits come in handy. Like the one here, they have one for 10 years, then they have one for 20 years. And so you have a lot of options when it comes to Africa. Just check out some of these little known countries. And then as the years go by, we're going to start to see different things unfold. We were just talking last week about how the president of Benin said he's going to allow the diaspora to have citizenship. So as these years go by, we're going to start to see more presidents in certain regions in Africa open up more opportunities for the diaspora. So just keep your options open and be open to travel to different areas, to learn a new culture, and to really diversify your life, because it's going to make it much easier for you to just stay in Africa forever instead of going back to America.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The goal is to really be more of a digital nomad, because even though I'm landing in South Africa, my goal, like the goal is to invest in multiple places, including Ghana. So I do want to that would be my next property after South Africa. Excuse me. After South Africa, getting a place in Ghana as an additional home, but also additional rental, a source of revenue. Because I feel like having the proximity to America, and how appealing it is to most of the folks, not just actually in America, but like other places. I feel like it would be really helpful to have that as an additional rental property.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Ghana for sure. That's just leverage right there. You're in the southern region, then you're also in the western region. And think of the network you would have at that point too. So absolutely. Congratulations in advance, because that's an excellent plan.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, yes, you're welcome. Let's go to the next slide. So here, like you were just talking about, we have different digital nomad visas and self-employed visas. They have different terms depending on which country you're in. Here in Mauritius, they call it the premium visa. It's free for 1 year and then it's renewable for up to 3 years usually. Cabo Verde, they're another one that has the digital nomad visa for remote workers and entrepreneurs. If you can prove you make 1,500 per month per person. This is the same as Mauritius too. So 1,500 per month per person. If you have children, it's like $500. South Africa just this year released their digital nomad visa. I'm not sure if anyone has actually obtained it yet, but they did say they released it. So it's a 1-year visa and it's going to be released where entrepreneurs and remote workers actually submit their tax return. And so for Mauritius, we literally submitted our bank statements. Cabo Verde, I believe, is the same way. Seychelles is the same way. They have a workcation program, but South Africa is a little different. They want the actual tax return. So keep that in mind if that's something that you end up wanting to do. Then you have Namibia. Theirs is short term. I understand it's just like the digital nomad thing, but it's 6 months long, non-renewable for $62 online via their website for the Namibia Economic Development. Now, these types of self-employed nomad visas, they come in handy so much because you can get it done online. You get your paperwork online. There's not too much of a hassle. You get to stabilize yourself so you can reposition and invest in the country or invest in another country if that's your goal. So it's good just to have that information of knowing, okay, this is where if stuff starts changing or if anything, if I need to go somewhere else, I can go and do this digital nomad visa for a while.
Yes, do you guys have any questions about what she was just saying?
No,
I,
yeah.
I-
Go ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead.
So I have one question about the South Africa visa. So when they say submit the tax return for 53,000, so I recently joined a group called Melanin Millionaires, where they teach us how to leverage tax liability, so we're not paying as much in taxes. So while my gross income, of course, would exceed that, I'm just curious, does it count? Is it okay if after all the deductions have been made, if it's lower than that number, the 53,000?
So when you say deductions, could you explain that a little bit more?
Right. So for instance, like, okay, let's take a blanket number like 100,000 K as far as like gross, right? And then once deductions are made, let's say, like, so it's a matter of talking about is this taxable income, or like are they looking at it from a standpoint of, is it your gross income or is it your net income, I guess, or what shows up on your, how can I describe it? You know, when you go for a loan at the bank and they're like, oh, okay, well, because of all your deductions, you don't qualify for the funding, even though you made the money. You don't qualify because your deductions brought down your your ultimate tax responsibility or tax.
Yeah.
The word is not coming to me, but I'm wondering if that comes into play here, if it's the same, where it's going to go by the ultimate number after all of the deductions, like whether it's like deductions from like business deductions, for instance. Like I have a lot of business deductions. Most of the places I travel is a business deduction for me because I always do some form of business. So I try to leverage all of my business interactions and all the things that I need to do for my business. I try to make sure that I get those deducted and you know, of course, in the ethical way, but nonetheless, it brings down my tax liability so that while the gross may be over 100K or whatever, like it may not at the end of the day after the
Yeah.
tax deductions come to the 53K.
Exactly. So from our experience, you know, open a business in Tanzania, they do want to see like, and I know this in Tanzania, I'm not sure in South Africa, but we had to prove that we had a certain amount of money inside the bank.
Okay,
Um, so
okay.
I'm pretty sure for South Africa, the year visa, you have to have that gross income over 53,000.
Okay, so as long as the gross is over 53,000.
Yeah, I believe it doesn't matter about the deductions.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, James.
No, I was just saying Dr. K has a problem. Her account is too good.
Yeah.
I won't say all that. I'm just, I'm just trying to make sure that I'm following everything correctly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Could you give us one second, guys?
Sure.
We'll
Yeah.
be right back.
Okay. So James, how soon are you thinking about making your move?
I have my plane ticket to fly out September 2nd. I'm going to be going into Tanzania
Okay.
to meet with Mark Victorian. He's currently running the community center there for the diaspora. So we're going to break bread. We're going to break bread, hang out, and pick his brain on how to do that, so we can implement his skill set into what we're doing.
Yeah.
Then I'll head out to South Africa probably within a week.
Oh, nice. I
Yeah.
think we may just miss each other, depending on your timing. Yeah, because I arrive in South Africa on the 22nd.
Okay.
And I'm going to be there with a group until about the 30th, and then I'm going to be on my own
I
for the
got
most
you.
part until I fly out to Johannesburg. Because I'm not completely on my own. I actually have two friends. I have one friend that's going to be there on the mission trip. I'm going to connect with,
Nice.
and then I have another friend who lives like five hours away.
Okay.
And I'm supposed to connect with her as well. So I'll be spending time with them, and then but I need to get to Johannesburg by I would say September 9th, 9th or 10th, because I have a friend that lives in that area who's having a women's conference that he was asking me to participate in. So
Nice.
yeah, Lord willing, I gotta make sure as long as everything flows correctly. I see an iPhone. I'm
I think
not sure.
that's
Mhm.
I think that's our guy,
That's who is it?
Anthony.
Oh, it's
think.
Anthony.
I
Okay.
think so.
Maybe so.
Oh, hey, Anthony. Welcome. Welcome.
Yeah, so you're in Johannesburg. So in Gauteng, I think this is how you pronounce it. That's where we're looking to revamp Kemper Park Hospital. It's a 350-bed hospital. And
Okay.
so, yeah, we're gathering, like right now we have a institutional investor for Africa, and he was telling us that it's a blue ocean for investment in Africa because they have all these private funds and they're just itching for somewhere to put the money. And that is one of their main priorities. Because when I texted him on LinkedIn, he hit me back so fast, I didn't have a chance to put my phone down. So yeah, we're excited. Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing! Congratulations.
Hello. Sorry, I'm at the mechanics right now.
Oh, okay.
No problem.
Yes,
What's going on?
Welcome.
So I'm on my cell phone.
No problem. Awesome, awesome. So
explain to what we talk about.
real estate, the next slide is real estate is abundant. Again, this is recorded, so if you missed some of it, it's okay. You can just go back and watch the recording, but we're just going back through our slides here that we didn't get to go through last week. Real estate is enormous in Africa. It's probably one of the best types of investments that you can do in Africa. One, because it's so affordable. Like when you look at houses in the States right now, they are insane. Versus even if you look at houses in some of the most expensive African countries, they're more valuable in terms of how they're built, how much space is available, what the investment is going to be worth in the long term. And you just get more bang for your buck in Africa, as long as the logistics of everything works well, and as long as you have that long-term visa or have a plan for your long-term plans in the African country of your choosing. Now, this is where you want to take extreme precaution, where you guys will see like certain videos or certain people say, hey, I lost all of my money in Ghana, or hey, this land scam. Land scams are a thing in Africa, and it happens because there's not a lot of paperwork the way there is in
That's too much
America.
paperwork.
Not because compared to America, there's more checks and balances. But in Africa, somebody says, hey, my father's father passed this down, and they just have to go off that word until they get a piece of paperwork that actually shows that they have the deed and title to the land. And people in Africa, for some reason, they're just more willing to try random stuff. Like, I don't know what that is. They just kind of have the audacity to be like, actually, no, this is my father's land. And then the neighbors are like, no, we've never seen you here before. This is not your father's land.
Yeah.
And so what you want to do, number one, have a lawyer or some kind of contact within the community. Have the chief of the community. In Tanzania, they call them Mwenyekitis in Swahili. They're like the tribal village leader who knows all the families and knows everybody. Wherever you go in Africa, you can find that type of person depending on what region you're in. Obviously, in the more bigger commerce centers like Johannesburg, Dar es Salaam, or Nairobi, property is going to be a little bit more pricey, similar to Accra. But when you start going outside the city and going to some of these different village areas and small towns, real estate is super, super affordable. So you also want to avoid working with large coalitions of people. Most of the time, it doesn't work out. We've seen that time and time again, because typically people, and if you do want to work in a community, you want to do it in a small incubated setting where you can really vet everyone and know them long enough to trust them with your resources. Because what happens is people don't necessarily know each other, and then they kind of just jump up and all jump together and do something. And then a year later, people are like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. I got scammed. Oh, this isn't working. I don't like this land. So it's best to just be patient and wait, or move in a small community with like 3 to 5 like-minded people that you can really trust. And then you want to also look in the lands council in the country if the seller actually has rights to the property. Similar to what I was just saying, people, it gets strange in Africa. It's hard to imagine this as an American, because typically, you may see a house for sale, or you may see a plot of land for sale. You just call the number on the sign, and usually that's going to be the person that actually owns the land most of the time. But in Africa, it can get a little bit confusing. Now, you do want to keep an eye on, if you're serious about real estate, there are certain real estate projects that will actually give you citizenship, or at least a long-term residency permit, just through the real estate itself. So Mauritius is good for this because they have a real estate visa. Kenya is good for this. They also have the investor's visa or the K2 visa. With the investor's visa, if you were to open up a real estate group like a holdings company and then transfer your funds from America to Kenya on their investor's visa, then you could buy property under the business, Airbnb it or rent it out or host events, whatever you were planning on doing, and continue investing like that. South Africa, you can do the same thing, but the benefit of South Africa is that it's freehold land. And countries like Kenya, Tanzania, I believe Ghana is the same way. It's a 99-year lease, which is not a bad thing. It's still okay to purchase property on a 99-year lease. We've done it before, but the difference is that you're going to have to renew it, or your descendants will have to renew it at the end of that 99-year term, versus the freehold land, you just own it forever. South Africa, you guys will have to do your research to see if you have to pay taxes on it, but I don't think you do. Most African countries don't have you pay taxes on the actual land the way that America does. And then Ghana has the 5-year visa for investors, and multiple projects are already there. They're complete, they're thriving, whether it's cabins, apartments, regular houses. They have so many projects on the ground in Ghana. But Rwanda is also on the ups and ups. I don't know if you guys follow Rwanda at all, or if you're on Instagram. There have been a lot of property developments in Rwanda, which, by the way, is the cleanest country in Africa. They're pretty low on corruption. And so it is a viable option if you want to invest in real estate, because those properties over there, they're very, very nice. They're sleek, they're modern, they're affordable, and it's in a country where it's pretty much peaceful after the genocide. I mean, they were really, really able to build that country up. It looks amazing by what we see on video, because we haven't visited Rwanda yet. And then we have Botswana. Again, you can do the 5-year investor's visa. They speak English, and they're also low on corruption, similar to the idea that I was talking about with the Kenyan visa. You would just go ahead and form your real estate company, your real estate group, and then invest in properties there like that. Another one people don't really talk about, it seems like the quiet gem of West Africa, is Senegal. It is the tech hub in West Africa. Even though they speak French, and French isn't our first language, Senegal is a very serious business-minded community where you don't hear a lot of craziness coming out. Most of the time when you think Senegal, you think entrepreneurship, you think jollof rice, you think culture. Mostly good things come to mind when you consider Senegal, and they have good leadership currently. And so I do want to say that you want to avoid carving a brand new path. I think as Americans, when we come over, that's a mistake that we make. Like, we're like, oh, there's nobody in this country, I'm gonna just go over here and it's gonna work. And a lot of the time, the reason that nobody's really building in these countries is because they make it very, 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 very difficult. For example, Malawi, right? You don't really hear much about Malawi at all. What's another one? Burundi. Right? So you wouldn't just hop over to Burundi and say, okay, I'm gonna buy 10 properties because they're super cheap. You may look at it like that, then you get there and all the corruption and all the bureaucracy stops you from doing all of that. And then you're like, whoa, what did I just do? So just go ahead, you guys, you're going to South Africa and Ghana to start. Those are perfect places to start because both of them have proof that Americans and diaspora have been coming back to the continent, building and being successful for decades. I've even seen a few YouTube videos of people that have been in South Africa for decades and built their house there literally over 10 years ago. It's incredible. Any comments and questions on real estate? What do you guys think of real estate at this time?
I think it's.
Oh,
Go ahead, Anthony. Go ahead, Anthony.
I was thinking of possibly renting first before jumping into just to get the foot in the ground.
Yes. Yes.
First, and then possibly doing a townhouse, and then going to a house. That was
Okay, that'd be good.
So then keep the townhouse or the condo, and then
Yes.
Airbnb that out, and then look for, like you say, your primary residence after after that.
Exactly, exactly. It's all about strategy and planning. What about you, Dr. James?
Go ahead, Dr. K.
Oh, appreciate you. So honestly, so first I want to say I appreciate that this is a safe space that I can share this without someone saying, oh, you're fear mongering. But I feel like the way things are going here in America, that investing in Africa is the best choice. And initially, when I had, my plan was to invest, like once I saw my house this summer, I was going to take that money to have a property to purchase another home here and then, do and then do like an additional, rental in Africa, but not spend much on it. But now I'm flipping it. Actually, I'm totally revising it, and I'm not going to invest in another property here, at least not yet. I'm still seeking wisdom, but I just feel like at this point where things are going, it's the best ROI is going to be in Africa. I'm listening to podcasts and they're talking about how the housing market here and just some of the things that's happening. So, I'm just overall, I feel like Africa is the best choice. And so my goal is to not only purchase the property in South Africa, as mentioned, I'm going to do another property in Ghana and then make my way to Mauritius. And Lord willing, with opportunities open up, explore other places. But I don't want to wait because I feel like everything I've been listening to has been, speaking about how things are heading in the bad direction here in the United States. And this one lady, she's a US ambassador for Kenya. And she said out her own mouth, I recorded it, like I screen recorded it. She said out her own mouth that Africa was going to be where one out of 4 people was going to live in Africa in the next 25, 50 years.
Wow.
And that number increased in terms of the number of people who are considered working age individuals. And so she was saying it in the terms of, the US is looking at, what they were saying to themselves, what are we going to do with Africa? Because they see how, the opportunity.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it as like, we need to get in there. We need to position ourselves before everyone else tries to, come and then the prices go up. And so I want to invest in as much as I can right now, while it's still affordable.
Exactly. That's wise. And that's really it, because America, even the West as a whole, not just America, Canada, Europe, it's just with the population decline, you have to wonder, how are they going to have an economy? How is anyone going to be able to do anything? It's just going to be a totally different picture just within the next 10 years, because even when we look back 5 years in America, things are radically different than what they were.
Even 4 years been here in Africa.
Yeah.
I believe it. Yeah.
Yeah, to piggyback off what Dr. K was saying, we were speaking as you guys took a little hiatus. I was telling her how I found the African institutional investor who's like a pension trustee for funds in the US. And when he saw the project that I presented to him, he jumped on it very, very fast, because he knows that Africa is a blue ocean. Because it's like, he has all of the numbers showing that in the next 5, 10, 15 years, that is going to be the place to be. And that's where they're starting to look to place their money. So very excited with our partnership with him and how we're going to, move forward. So as far as the real estate piece, I'm looking at renting and then looking at long-term real estate plays for big ventures, because I made a mistake in the past of thinking too small. I went in a deal thinking that I was like, yeah, this is pretty good. And then come to find out, the guy was like, well, yeah, that's a little too small for what we're doing. So now I'm out of that mode. And so that's why when I saw hospital, I was like, boom. And then doing the research, I found that I needed 54, we had at least asked for 54 million. So, and thinking big, it just opens up so much more opportunity. And then the money comes if the deal is good enough.
Absolutely, for sure. Yeah, that's the way to think. And, our people, we do have to get in that position to have these bigger projects on the continent, especially when it comes to healthcare, owning hospitals. So absolutely. Congrats on that investor partnership too. That's amazing.
Gracias.
You're welcome. Awesome. Let's keep it going. We have reached the end of those slides, but now we can do the Q&A, because you guys may have some lingering questions, and you guys also should have access to this. I sent this last week, but I can send it again just in case you want to print it out and just write out your plan month by month, tweak anything. But let's go ahead and do the Q&A. So what are your thoughts after this whole week? I know you guys have been researching so much information. You came in with one plan, some of you changed the plan, and then you clarified the plan, found some new information out. What are you guys thinking? What are your questions?
Okay, so nobody's going, so I'll go. Well, with Tiffany, I have to make sure my messaging is crazy clear. So I need to book a one-on-one with you and your husband. or just to find out how we need to get that messaging so clear that it's a no-brainer to do business with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Y'all know where to find us.
Yep, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I guess I'll chime in. So so since this started, of course, things come to the surface. So I need to pay my taxes down because
Yeah.
there was some hidden taxes there that I wasn't aware of. So that's, but I know that like everyone is saying, at least get the process in place. So this way, when things do start, you're not trying to start at that time.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, so at least start before 2025. And then this way, they can't say, well, we're going to have to put you on hold because, we got all this major stuff going on. So do it now while it's quiet. So that's what
Exactly.
that's what it's quiet because it's a quiet storm that's getting ready to hit. So, and it's funny that I had ran into two people from Accra, and they would say, "How did you know about Accra?" I was like, and I said, "Oh, I said, and of course, that's only done by the Most High." He's like, "I'm gonna send you some confirmation.
Yes.
You just need to pay attention." And, so the guy said, not many people know that. He said, "I thought you might say, somewhere else other than Africa." And he said, "Well, Ghana, that's, he said he's from Ghana. His family moved here and they bought a home here. But I understand the process, what everybody's doing is to come here and grab as soon as you can and then leave."
Right. Right.
So they're
For
not
real.
coming. So they're not coming here to like, oh yeah, this is going to be a party, and we're just going to kick our feet back and relax, and it's sad how we and that's the thing is we don't know what we don't know. So we've been
Yeah.
raised up in this country and we've been lied to so many times. We regurgitate the lies and we act out on the lies and we thinking, no, I'm in the best place ever, and right in front of your nose they're digging ditches right in front of your nose and things are happening. And I look at people and I'd say, guys, you're not planning anything. What is your plan? But I know I'm kind of going off on a tangent. It's just when you speak to people who it's just, you get a chance to talk. Like Tiffany, I mean, not Tiffany, but like the doctor said, there's not too many people you can talk to because everyone, they're like, they want to shut it down. I don't think it's a bad idea. You think it's safe? You should be worried about here because this is where it's going to be problems, not abroad.
Exactly.
And like they both said, everyone is getting their houses in order and their finances in order so that when this time comes, we won't be scrambling. Like the Lord says, well, if you plan, then that means you won't be failing because you're planning to fail. So if you're putting everything in order and getting everything, and whether it's South Africa, like you said, or Ghana or Rwanda, that would be options. And like the brother said, start out renting, so at least our feet will be out of and into somewhere else, planted, even if they're renting,
Yeah.
And we can't follow, we can't get to where you guys are because you guys did a process, but that doesn't mean that we won't get there. It'll just be at our pace,
Exactly.
I'm setting up appointments with the consulate so we can go have some talks and find out what I need to do, and just to put side by side what you gave us and then what do they want on their end, kind of a thing, and what are they looking for me to bring,
Sure.
so they're supposed to call me back. I'm going to get a call and then the call is going to be setting up the appointment. So
well, that's exciting. That's good. You're taking some good action steps. You're moving along.
well, seeing like like the doctor said, stuff is written on the wall here, and it's like in plain sight here in this country.
Right. Yeah.
And I can no longer, worry about what anybody else is doing. I need to be concerned about what I'm doing.
Right.
That's so that's what's happening. And that was one of my questions. So I probably won't be bringing everything. I don't know how you guys did it, but I know the last call we had, you said we can put things in those containers or those barrels, but less is better, I guess. I'm not sure if they have
Yeah,
furnished
that's
apartments over
way
there.
better. Yeah,
Okay,
less is better.
less is better. Okay. But my electronics, I'll probably have to bring that, definitely. I guess I have to pack
Oh
that
yeah.
really well. The monitors and the computers and all that stuff. But
For
other stuff you can always get. I definitely have to bring my Berkey, my water filter. so, so
Okay,
these are just
okay.
small things. But it's just a way of preparing and seeing what is necessary. You know. I might sell some stuff. I might have to sell some stuff because I got a lot of tools. I don't know if I'll be able to bring them all, but
Yeah, have a
I'll-
nice yard sale.
yeah. So that's where I am, with that so far. And I guess I'll probably put that on the blank pages that I printed out.
Okay, absolutely. That's perfect. And then I do have a question for all of you guys. Did you guys open your SoFi bank accounts this week?
Oh, that's what I was going to ask you. What was the bank accounts? Because I didn't see. I was looking for where on those handouts, but it wasn't on that. No, I did not open my SoFi. I think I
Yeah,
got
yeah.
somebody. Somebody sent me a link, a discount link.
Let me write them in the chat. There's a few different ones.
Okay.
We always advise everyone to have their regular traditional bank, whether it's Chase, Bank of America, whoever it is, and then you want to have the digital nomad banks like SoFi, Chime Bank, and then Wise for international transfers. Or it's transfer, not Wise, not. They call it transfer.
Yeah, I downloaded your PDF and I'm going to put all that together this weekend because I saw how you guys put it together and it's a nice little flow. So yes, definitely connected them all up.
Yes, yeah. The finances, that's so important because when you're overseas, there's so many logistics to it. But if you use that strategy, we haven't been back to America in 4 years. So that strategy, it works. If one account has issues, you switch to the other one, wait till the other one's free, distribute your money throughout the different accounts and invest in other areas like that.
Yeah, that's where I got the grant question from when I read that PDF.
Okay, awesome. Absolutely. For sure. And then you guys, I'm not sure which banks are top in Ghana. Anthony, you're going to have to research that to see which. Yeah, go ahead and figure out the top 3 banks in Ghana. But I know for like the South Africa and Southeastern region of Africa, ABSA is huge. We had an ABSA account in Tanzania. They have ABSA where we're at right now. And then ABSA is actually, it originated in South Africa. And so they allow you to actually have their USD account, or you can have the South African Rand account as well.
ABSA, and that's what it be.
Yep, ABSA.
ABSA. Okay, ABSA. Oh, okay.
Yep.
So it might make sense to fly in there and then maybe go to a few other places.
Absolutely. Because, yeah, South Africa has such a large, how should I say it? They have a good database as far as the institutions are concerned. For example, for us coming from Ohio to Tanzania, you don't see any of the same brands. Like there's no similarities whatsoever.
Okay.
But in South Africa, when we realized that South Africa has Discover Bank and Citibank, which by the way, y'all, if we were y'all and we were going to South Africa, I would just open up those bank accounts, both of those. Citibank.
Okay. I have a Citibank card. Well, I don't have a Citibank account. Okay. I'll have to do that. Let me write that down.
Yeah,
That-
because they're in South Africa.
Hmm.
And Citibank is also in Tanzania. I'm like, why didn't we know this before? Like, we could have just went down the road when we lived in Ohio. Citibank was right there.
Oh, and Discover? Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and open those while you're stateside, get the cards. You know, you want to have those different options available.
Yeah. This is helpful because I literally was just actually having a conversation with a coaching program, the one I mentioned earlier, and asking them like, what should I do in terms of banking? Because sometimes even here in the States, you can't necessarily trust the institutions to always, right? So, so this is really helpful. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And on that same, I'm sorry, on that same vein, like that's kind of where I'm at. Like I'm in a interesting space right now. I'm in transition because I'm still healing from surgery. Right now, I am not in my home. I had to move out my house because I had a situation. And so I have renovations happening right now. And so I am going to basically be operating from I'm staying with a friend now until I can get back into my home. And then from there, I had to start packing and moving. And so to sell my house. So yeah, so it's just a lot going on, but I am committed to the process. And I found that this was really helpful and me getting more clarity in terms of how I want to go about the process. I'm still pretty firm on doing that initial purchase in South Africa just to have an investment somewhere. Like I'm not sure if you heard of this book, but it's this book called "You Will Own Nothing and Be Happy." And
Right.
you have
Man,
heard of it? Okay. And
man.
and so it's just talking about how important it is to have assets moving forward with where things are going. So I want to make sure that I have some type of asset, especially since I'm selling my home. And so
Exactly.
yeah. So that's very important to me. And I've been researching. I found a few places, I'm going to keep it small. Just do a 1 bedroom, and especially since it's
Okay,
just,
that's good.
yeah, I don't need a lot of space.
That's
So,
real good.
yep, a 1 bedroom condo. And right now, like I'm
Okay.
seeing go for about 150 to 200K. Um, but ideally, I'm hoping to find something closer to the 150 so that I can pay like most of I don't have to hopefully get financing. That's the goal because they're banking, like as I was researching for South Africa, you have to, I think the interest rate is 11% and you have to
Oh,
put you have to pay a 50% down payment anyway. So it just makes the most
okay.
to try to get something where it's just mostly paid off. And so yeah, so I'm excited. I was talking to James a bit when you guys had stepped away and sharing that my plans are pretty much all they're coming together. I'll be there in August, from starting August 22nd to the 30th with a group that I'm traveling with called Jet Lag Africa.
Okay,
Uh,
that's awesome.
yeah, so I'm super excited about that. And then from there, and this is how I know God is like all up in this process. A friend of mine who's a missionary I support, she's going to happen to be in South Africa this same time as well. So we're going to meet up after I finish out with the group. And then I'm going to meet up with some other friends that I know that I have in the area in South Africa. And so, yeah, so I'm super excited and Lord willing, during that whole process, I also will have found the property that I can put an offer in for.
Yes, yes, that's so exciting. I know you'll absolutely find it because you're going to be in South Africa and you're going to be like, man, I'm ready to just stay. I'm going to go ahead and just stay and work everything out.
Right?
That's how you touch down in Africa. You're like, wait a minute. Why would I go back to
I
America?
go back. Who knows? That's possible too. Yeah. Yes.
Yes. It's like once you see the sun hitting like that, the fruit trees, people that look like you everywhere, you're like, oh man, why did I waste my life over there? Like, man, they really kidnapped us from this paradise. Like, dang.
Oh my gosh. I believe I'm super excited. And I guess my next question is like, what are the next steps? So I know this is our last time. How do we keep, essentially keep it going? I know we have our WhatsApp thread, but as we're moving forward, what are some things that we can do to kind of keep that fire going for all of us collectively?
Yeah, that's a really good question. You want to answer it?
Yeah, just keep it simple. You really just took the first step. But you just got to keep moving. Like that's very important. You just got to keep yourself motivated, keep moving, keep growing. So that's my advice on like what's the next step. You just have to keep moving because once we decided that we was going to move to Africa,
Mm-hmm.
everything was just falling in place, and we didn't stop.
Right, right.
Yeah, you
We were
can't
full
can't
speed
stop.
ahead.
Yeah, just don't stop. If this is what you want, keep it moving.
Right, week by week, listening. If y'all going to South Africa, watch people who are in South Africa. If y'all, you're looking at people like us who have been in Africa for years and love it, keep watching those videos. Keep seeing the different networks, go in different Google forums, Facebook forums. See, I even like looking at properties, honestly.
Yeah.
I just like looking at properties throughout Africa. Like that's a motivator to me, looking like, oh, okay, there's so much here. Even if you're into like nature walks and stuff like that, start looking at the natural parks in Africa. I even, I'm not even in Kenya right now, but I like looking online at the natural park they have in Nairobi. And I know some of the natural parks they have in Ghana. It's just good to keep those things on the forefront of your mind so you have a goal to reach towards. And as you're doing that each week, share that in the group, even if it's a voice note.
Okay.
Yeah, share that in the group. What things you're excited about, what things you have questions about. Even if you're afraid of something, you have fears, you can share that as well, because that's what we're here for as a community, whether it's Dream Life Africa or the more incubated State of the Diaspora group that you guys have.
Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you. Very helpful.
Also, guys, I noticed that you guys are buying property, and you, Anthony, you talked about renting yours out. I bought a course, Airbnb, and I used it in Reno. And it basically, whatever your competitor's doing, it helps you 5-10x what you're doing because of his proven test. Just reach out to me. I'll give that to you guys so you can maximize your profits on your Airbnbs.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's great. Yeah, Airbnb, it's an excellent business. Even out here, we've even did it a few times in Tanzania and had guests, because Africa, the West thinks that Africa is poor, but all the Europeans, even Asians, Chinese, Korean, everybody comes to Africa on vacation. Americans are the only ones that aren't used to traveling to Africa on vacation. France is always here on vacation. Great Britain, they're always here on vacation. Germany, Belgium, Sweden, Switzerland. Everybody comes to Africa. But us from America, we're like, oh no, there's nothing down there. They're starving.
And I guess one final thing for me is I am going to, have you had anyone who set up their car on Turo while they were abroad instead of selling it, or if they didn't sell it?
Yeah. Yeah, we knew a brother that did that in Cleveland.
Okay.
And he came to Africa. I believe their goal was to stay, but I believe they went back. So he was telling me about it. And I wish I did it, but yeah.
Yeah, because that's a like little passive revenue stream because you can pretty much do it autonomously, have everything remotely done. So yeah, all right. Yeah, because if I don't sell it, I think that's the route I'm going to go. Either that or sell it to someone under the guise that they can use it for Uber as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they can rent it out and use it for Uber. And then my last thing.
Where did you say
I'm
that?
sorry.
Where did you say that?
It's a place called Turo where you can rent your car. And
Oh
then,
yeah, I've used Turo before.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Turo is pretty awesome. And then I have this. My ancestry just came, so I'm going to find out who I is.
Cool.
So that's going to be pretty awesome.
Keep us updated. That's awesome.
I will. Yeah, I'm looking forward to finding out.
Keep us updated.
That's
all right. That's it.
That is awesome. Yeah, because if that comes back to one of the countries that's giving dual citizenship, it's like you might as well. Nothing to
Yeah,
lose.
yeah.
Speaking of, I'm
Well, the
sorry.
guy, oh, sorry, go ahead. I was gonna reply on that too, about the dual
Yeah,
citizenship.
I was gonna say I put a question in the chat earlier about that. Because I did do my I received my results earlier this year, and it was 83% West African with 46% Nigerian. And I realized like so well, I did consider moving to Nigeria. They don't even have, or not moving, but having a place there. They don't have a program in place, but Benin now may have that. And so because they were once the same, Benin was once part of Nigeria, I wonder if I can still use it for the dual citizenship there.
Yeah, you might be able to. Africa, when we landed in Tanzania, there's this saying that they would say, and they say anything's possible. Like literally in Africa, if you just talk to the right people, anything is possible. Especially when you're the diaspora coming over. Because with Benin doing that, that tells me that one, they value African American investments. Two, they actually want to make that connections with their brothers and sisters because they know what's going on in the world. So that's a strategic move for them. So I'd say check it out.
Will do. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Go ahead, Anthony.
and someone had got a little defensive because I said I'm looking to immigrate versus me saying what is this new terminology that they're saying now?
Repatriate.
They're grouping people as instead of saying they're immigrants over there, they're I got the word.
Repatriate.
Yeah, is that what they're saying? And I said, no,
Yeah.
you're actually an immigrant. You're not this new that title, and I guess they want to put it as a title. And someone said, no, it's a group yeah, but that's a title. You're still an immigrant.
Right, exactly. And that's something people get wrong as well. That's why we don't like to use that term repatriate, repat,
Yeah.
because when you go into these countries, you're not going to find the scroll on the website, whether it's Ghana, South Africa, Tanzania, Kenya, Mauritius, wherever it is. There's not going to be a scroll there on the website that says for repatriates. And if it does, it literally means people that were born in the country and left. So absolutely, we are immigrants. We are foreigners who have been dispelled from the ancient lands, and that's just what it is.
Dr. K, on your ancestry, do you know what tribe you're from?
I do. Igbo.
Okay.
Igbo tribe.
Okay, awesome.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
Because
Yeah.
there was a video that I found. You go to Ancestry, and then you could upload it to MyHeritage, and it breaks it down even more. But then you can break it down to 83 different subcategories in a living DNA for 25 extra bucks.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So I
Yeah.
have a question for everyone, I guess pertains to that. The reason why I didn't do it, because I thought that was just a way of them to get our DNA. That's the reason why I didn't do that, because I did want to find out myself, even though on the mother side, it goes back to Congo, but
Okay.
I know it has to be done on the father side, not the mother side. But on the mother side, it goes back to Congo. I forgot Congo, but it said Congo.
That's cool.
'Cause we had a reunion, and the one of the people who were the oldest ones, they did that side on
Wow.
the mother side. So I guess now I got to do the digging on the father side, or they either just do like you guys did and just do the ancestry, and that'll kind of eliminate that process of digging and going to the courthouses and libraries and stuff like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry
Yeah.
about it, Anthony. If they want it, they're going to get it anyway. So it doesn't matter.
That's exactly.
They probably already got it.
They probably already have it.
We have our blood, everything.
Right.
Yeah.
They already have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But many people do struggle with that. And I did initially, but then I just came to the conclusion of what you all just said. If they want it, they'll get it one way or another. So I'm not gonna let that stress me out. I'm gonna find out my history. So
Thanks for thanks for that reinforcement, because that's just it's like a reverse psychology
Absolutely.
to
Yeah.
tell us, hey, the same thing how they told us, no, you need to go back to Africa. But then then we don't do it because they
Yeah.
actually subliminally saying, don't go.
Right. I think they fear what we're going to find out. Like, I mean, even in Israel is banned. Like they can't take the test in Israel because
Well, you
that's
know
not
why, right?
the truth. Exactly. Of course I do.
Because
And
they're
that's
not the truth.
right. I'm right.
You know,
I recently became aware of that, but the reality is that most of the world still has no clue about those things. And
Been
yeah, I think
bamboozled.
exactly.
that's true. Well, Yah's working on that slowly. It's a slow process that is going to be being exposed. People are going to be shaking their heads and they're going to be scratching their scalps because they're going to be
Exactly.
even
Yeah.
like the movie Chosen. And people wanted me to watch that, so I did the first couple of times, and I said, well, I had enough of the lies already. So, I'm
Right.
like, oh, it's just done with the lies already. And people's like,
For
no, that's
real.
a good Christian movie. I'm not a Christian. I'm
Right?
not a
Like,
Christian.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
so
was
people get mad at me when I say that, and I say, what do you mean you're not a Christian? Aren't you religious? No, I'm not religious. It's about a relationship,
yeah,
And then they
absolutely.
say, well, it's talking about Jesus. Well, that must be good for you then.
Right, right.
Because as I recall, I told him, I said, you must not know your commandments, because one of the commandments, which is number 2, no graven images. So then, what do you mean by that? Well, if you honoring this man with the hair blown in the wind, talking about he acting as God, you must
Oh,
not be. You must not be reading the same Tarot that I'm reading. And I'm like, what do you mean Tarot? You're not Hebrew. So I said, we got to end this conversation because,
Yeah.
I mean,
you
everybody's
know,
gonna come on their own journey. And I mean, because like I
yeah.
said, I'm just new to
And
learning.
I didn't mean to throw so much at you like that.
No, everything you said, I'm aware of. Like I'm
Oh,
a
okay.
teacher, so I know what you're, I'm aware of it. But it takes time. Like if you look at
True.
a cruise liner, that it doesn't turn around instantly. Like, and people need time to process all of it because it's a lot.
It
And
is. It is.
just as we gave our own self grace, as we had to come to our own revelation, that we have to give them grace too, as
True.
begins to deal with that because it's a process. And I think it's just sowing those seeds because I've had multiple people throughout my life that have sown those seeds, but it was in Yah's timing that he, allowed me to come to the revelation myself.
that's beautiful. You said you
Yeah.
have multiple people sow those seeds. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I dated a guy for like 7 years. Like at one point, and he believed like he was already on this like back then. And I dibbled and dabbed in it, but I wasn't like true to it. I hadn't had the revelation myself until recently.
Wow.
And so yeah, but multiple
You sh-
people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeshai and Tiffany, I want to thank you also because I'm pretty like strong in my faith, but I noticed that you on your LinkedIn profile, Tiffany, you straight business. So I took everything in my LinkedIn profile that wasn't business out of there, and I kept it
Yeah.
strictly business. And then I'll have a separate profile for whatever else I want to talk about. And so I thank you for that, leading that by example.
I got to do
Yeah.
that as well, James.
I'm gonna go ahead and follow you guys on LinkedIn now that you said that.
I haven't followed them on LinkedIn either.
Yeah.
I
Go
mean,
ahead.
I'm on LinkedIn, but it's the business LinkedIn. I don't do anything personal on it.
Yeah, I don't think
Exactly.
it's supposed to be
Yeah.
personal.
Right.
That's Facebook and Instagram, and that's for the personal side of things.
Right. Absolutely. Awesome, awesome. This has been an incredible week with you guys. You guys are incredible. Your mindsets are strong. You don't seem hesitant. You don't seem doubtful. We're excited to see what you accomplish on the continent. We're excited to follow along on your journey as you guys interact with each other in the chat. And just, the Most High bless you and give you everything that your heart desires that's according to his will. And you guys should be excited, like you're really exiting America at the best possible time, literally.
It is exciting. It is exciting. It's yeah.
Well,
I'm not
thank
gonna say finally, but it's just like, okay, all right. It's coming through.
Right. It is, it's happening. And time, like we were saying earlier, time goes so fast, especially this year. Time is flying by.
It definitely is. But I think as someone mentioned earlier, the days are getting shorter. You can tell. It seems like, especially since COVID, it seems like 2019, like ever since 2019, before COVID, really, that the years have just accelerated from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll say here in Africa, there's no daylight savings and stuff like that. It's literally
Great.
6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Yep. Yep. That's true. That can be a culture shock. In Ohio in the summer, it won't get dark until 9 p.m.
Right? It's like,
Wow.
it's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
too different.
And you guys go to the local, do you grow your own or do you just go to the local store markets and stuff?
Yeah, we just go to the local stores here. In
Okay.
Tanzania, there's a little bit more of like a agriculture presence here. There's a lot of agriculture, but it's more standardized. So licensing and things like that.
Okay.
So, Tiffany, I followed you on LinkedIn. I couldn't find you. I couldn't find James or Anthony. I looked both
Oh,
of you
Polanco Management, because
because
it's under the company. It's not under my.
oh, I see. Okay, well, I put mine in the chat if anyone wants to connect. I put my LinkedIn there. Feel free to connect. And
Okay.
then I had one last question that just came to mind. Tiffany, I saw that you posted something about a free guide for writing. So y'all just laid on my heart literally yesterday to start. He's been telling me about writing this new book, my second book, and literally yesterday I started because I have to get it done by the summer. And so I was trying to download it, but I had trouble downloading it. I was wondering if you could, is it still available first? Let me ask that.
Yeah, it is. I can send it to you via email.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Yeah, I want to definitely check it out because I really believe that I need to get this next book published before the end of the summer.
Oh, good. That's awesome. Congrats. That's great.
Thank you. I'm super excited. Yeah, it's been on my heart for a while. And so it's time to put the pen to the paper and make it happen.
Yes, indeed. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's gonna fund my Africa exploration this upcoming summer fall.
That's awesome.
For sure. Africa gives you so much creativity as well. Just seeing like these landscapes, the people, the culture, the music, it just opens up so many possibilities.
Yes, I believe it. I do. I believe it. I've heard so many people say that like even the cases of anxiety and depression are so much lower in Africa compared to here in the States.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the stressors and everything that can sometimes suppress our creativity and innovation are not there as it is here. So that I'm
Well,
just gonna
that's part of the plan here is to keep everybody anxiety, stressed out, so you can take all your medicines, like a good person, and then insurance, and then work like you never worked before. So, and transfer that down to your children and or your spouse, and then bring it in the house, and then you have the anxiety and stuff in the house, and people wondering why they're so sick and angry at each other. This is why. It's you know and of course, like you said, Tiffany, and the rest, once we hit over there, put our feet, they're like, I can breathe now. And I'm sure everything is not rapid. It's like, no, you're gonna wait until that's because when I'm watching these shows, like you said, the YouTubes, they say, well, don't bring your speed time over here because when you want something done, it's their time, not your time.
Yep, absolutely. 100%.
Do all places have AC, or depends on where you are, I guess, located, that you need central air?
Yeah, it really depends on the house, the landlord. Some do, some don't. Some just have fans. I
Okay.
know South Africa, depending on which region you go to, they also do experience winter. They had some snow last year in Johannesburg. Botswana experiences a cold winter as well. So it depends on what region you're in.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I
Any
heard.
last comments or questions?
Um,
Mm.
let's-
So I guess my last question would really be, in terms of once I do, make my, I would say once I do begin to, plan for my move to Mauritius, what advice would you have for that?
That's a good question. Choose which, well, first of all, Mauritius is visa-free for Americans, so you can come 3 to 6 months free just because your American passport. Mauritius allows you to apply for a premium digital nomad visa while you're in the country. So you can do that online, or you could go the self-employed route, or you could go the real estate route. Just have your plan and what your goals are.
Okay.
Yeah.
I may
Yeah.
actually, you know what? I may actually come visit you guys while I'm in Africa this fall.
You should.
I'll reach out beforehand and let you know. I have to figure out, I'm still like figuring out the dates of all the different travels I'm going to do post South Africa. And so once I get really clear and concrete on that, I'll definitely be in contact.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be really cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I might do that. Well, I'll do the same. I guess so we can still stay in contact through the WhatsApp after this
Yeah.
call?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's all stay connected. This is the network across Africa. We're gonna all be traveling in different areas. Let's stay connected. And I'm
Okay.
sure we'll all be in person one way or another one day.
That'd be awesome.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. Amen.
It really would. Awesome. We have really enjoyed helping you guys. It's been an incredible week. Any last thoughts, babe?
Yeah, like sessions like this always give us a boost, especially me. Just hearing you guys doing what you're gonna do. You're about to be on this new journey. Just keep going. Like that's the main thing. Don't give up. Um, just make sure your foundation is solid and just keep it going. Because it's time for it. It's time for people to actually move with, the Most High Spirit and what He's trying to tell you. So just listen and I'm excited for you guys. You guys are doing it, and I just can't wait to meet you guys in person.
Appreciate that.
Well,
Thank you.
thank you guys for the everything. Oh, now here's some people, they said they've moved some stuff on the plane and stuff like that, I guess from here. I'm just still thinking about that process, the moving process, about what to be taken on the plane. Because I normally travel one bag, but this is going to be different because now it's going to be a move. So I just need to figure out what can be, I guess, in crates and stuff, or not crates, but like you mentioned, barrels. I guess I can purchase those over here, right? The barrels.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll definitely say if you're gonna go that route, just make sure you ship the barrels like a month before you land.
Okay.
It'll give you it. It will land when you land, or just
Okay.
Right. That's true. Yeah. It usually does usually people land and then they don't get their stuff till about 2 or 3 months later.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Africa's slower with literally everything, like literally everything.
And
And
then
I'm not complaining.
ports.
It, it
The,
might
the
be the
port,
normal speed.
Right, right.
yeah.
We have to renew our minds.
Yes.
Yes. I
Man.
appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing and how you're being such a blessing to not just this group, but the entire diaspora, because this is needed. This is going to continue to help so many people. And I'm just grateful to be one of them.
Absolutely.
hallelujah.
Awesome. You guys have a great rest of your week. Let's stay in contact in the WhatsApp group. You can ask your questions. You can just leave comments and we'll stay connected and we'll see you guys in Africa sooner or later.
I have
Awesome.
to sell my vehicle as well. Oh man, it's a lot of selling to do.
All the
Because I have a
best.
pickup truck. I have a pickup truck.
Okay.
Just throwing it out. Yeah. All right. Thank you guys again. And I'll check those banks, like you say, and sign up with the checking and savings on those just to get those started as well.
Definitely do that. You guys are welcome.
Awesome. All right. Take care, everyone.
All right, you too. All right, bye.